and welcome to the first full moon of the year, the wolf moon. It is in Cancer because that is the polar opposite of Capricorn, which our sun is in right now. And I don't know why, but I always kind of love that time of year because I am a Capricorn and my DM is a Cancer. Also, the energies are very interesting. Like if you think about the glyphs, so Capricorn is sea goat, right? Which listen to my other videos about what that glyph means, but just think about it. This is a land animal that can go in the sea. And then Cancer is a crab, which is an aquatic animal that can go on the land, right? See how they fit together and yet don't? So, hmm, I feel like the signs and things that have been coming in from my spirit team have been communicated for a little while, but not in the way that I'm accustomed to them coming in, nor am I accustomed to talking about them coming in through. But it feels like this is appropriate because there are so many things going on astrologically that, on one hand, it's like this shouldn't be happening, and yet also on the other hand, it's like wow, this is pretty cool that this is happening. One of them is a conjunction happening between Neptune and Uranus, and it's like well, and Jupiter too. There's not a conjunction, but there's another. I believe it's a semi-sextile in there, and it's creating what some other astrologers are calling like this Walt Disney-esque type energy. And the syncs that keep coming to me are like Willy Wonka stuff. I can't remember if it was Twintuitive or Spiritual Sag or Maverick or I did feel like a bunch of people even mentioned the whole golden ticket thing, and after a couple experiences tonight, I'm thinking about the song from Willy Wonka, actually. The world of pure imagination. Come with me and we'll see. Right? And it feels like that energy is just like. So we've got Venus in Capricorn retrograde. Obviously, I've been doing a strange, not every day, but almost every day, 40 days and 40 nights accounting of my experiences over the what is it once every I want to say it's like once every 10 years alignment, 12 years, something like that. I'm still learning on a lot of this astrology stuff. So in any case, Venus in Capricorn, whether retrograde or direct, is a very stable energy, but that doesn't mean that it's like without. I mean, it's Capricorn, which is related to the word capricious. It's the root of both words are connected, and capricious means changeable. Oftentimes, at least these days, capricious is meant to mean like good natured kind of changeable, but it can also just mean like changeable, like changing your mind a lot. Now, with that shadow side in mind, Venus and Capricorn retrograde energy, we're starting to go direct. So it's already coming into that stability that we know as Venus in Capricorn, and that's kind of like having gone from retrograde is like that ugly duckling story, where in the end the ugly duckling finds out it was never ugly, it was a swan, not a duck. And there's nothing wrong with being a duck, but a swan is definitely, a very majestic being, and it was really amazing that the ugly duckling got to find that out, right? So that's that kind of energy that we're coming into, that's meeting with this like come with me and you'll see a world of pure imagination, right? Like it reminds me of if you guys were if for those of you who've been following my channel for the past 2 years, I'm excited to say it's like 23 months now, so it's going like 24 months, it'll be 2 years. Yay. Thank you for watching that long, and yay me for being able to keep that going. So those two energies are mixing in there, and it reminds me of when we had it was kind of a musical-esque cycle that everyone went through, like, and it reminded me of the movie Not Another Date movie, or Not Another Rom-Com, or something like that. It had Rebel Wilson in it, and it was great. Like it was very Shallow Hal, but with a I don't know, I want to say a much more positive ending. It was definitely intersectional feminism and good self-love and things like that, but it wasn't over the top with it. It was actually really good in that it wasn't over the top in the ending parts, but it was really funny throughout it, and it was a lot of this like, well, like making fun of the, like it's got to be self-love and I got to do this without a man and things like that. It left a positive impression on me in terms of like even learning to giggle at myself in many ways. Like remember, like spirit loves to laugh. That's, there's a reason that we feel so in spirit and filled up when we are laughing, right? We're in spirit when we're laughing. So we've got that Willy Wonka pure imagination energy coming in, and like that Walt Disney esque energy, and the ugly duckling kind of energy. It's also kind of that like Black Beauty energy, the story about the horse, like and that energy is butting up with Mercury retrograde in Aquarius, which to me is kind of a fascinating sort of what what is happening right here kind of energy, because mercury Mercury rules Virgo, and so it doesn't really, well, it's Virgo and Gemini. It's like it's not completely unhappy in Aquarius, but it's not thrilled in Aquarius either. Aquarius energy is too, it's too much alike Mercury energy and yet also too different. So the energies are kind of weird there. And Mercury definitely rules, we already know from everybody talking about Mercury retrogrades, right? Technology, transportation, um, contracts, agreements, things like that. So if it's in the Aquarian energy, it's like it's ruling the transportation and technology and media and communication and things like that that have to do with the collective. Because Aquarius is definitely like 11th house stuff. That's like the collective. Now, there is still the individual in the collective. That's the lessons that we learn from 5th house with Leo. But it's oftentimes like if it like when it's direct in Aquarius energy, it would be like better communication going on within, like, let's say family dynamics or voters and politicians and things like that. But it being in retrograde, it is more challenging to communicate with groups. It's also more challenging to deal with any sort of actual like contracts or court things or leases and stuff like that. It's not a time. It's definitely, it's like, it's funny in most Mercury retrogrades they say don't try to start anything new or end anything. It's one of those like, even if you tried to, it probably would not happen right now. Like you can still chip away at it. So if you got something to do in those realms, do it, because that will matter when Mercury goes direct. But it's terms of like the meantime, like expect delays when it comes to hearing from any sort of a collective group and just anything in general, and spend that time, as we've talked about before, getting back to gratitude for the little things, and, and especially when it comes to anything that you're dealing with the collective. I had somebody tell me, there's a friend of my son's, that they thought about what was it, they have these doomsday thoughts, like when they see something going on, they think about all the reasons that it shouldn't exist or the ways that it can cause problems. And I was fascinated. I was like, okay, now what if after you see all of those interesting little connections, what if you imagine 30 things that you're grateful for about each of those things, right? And I was delighted that they were fascinated with that. And that brought me into thinking more on that stuff too. I already think about that stuff in a way, but when you think about like how many things have people, like how many lemons have people thrown at you that you could pick up and make lemonade out of it? How many people have laid bricks in your path that, whether it's conditioning from your parents or from bullies or people around you or anything like that, like what could you build with those bricks? You know what I mean? How could you be grateful for that? Like, I wouldn't have picked out on a menu the stuff that's been going on with me, especially with my kids being involved. But you know what? I'm grateful because it gives me bricks to build with. It gives me lemons to make lemonade with, and I can use that lemonade to hydrate myself while I build something that is now